Good morning, Miss Class. Can you hear and see us? We're doing a sound check. Good morning, Miss Lufele. We're doing a sound check. Can you hear and see us?
Councillors, good morning, councillors. I've been asked by the WOP of the ANC if I can grant them 10 more minutes. So we will start at 11:10, promptly at 11:10.
Morning, Womquist. Can you hear and see us? We're doing a sound check from the council chambers.
Good morning. Can hear you clearly and see you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Miss Class. Can you hear and see us? We're doing a sound check from the council chambers.
Good morning, colleagues. Yes, I can hear you clearly. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Miss Lufele. Can you hear and see us? We're doing a sound check. Mrs. Pamela Zingisa Lufele, can you hear us?
Councillors, thank you. Can we please settle down? Thank you. Rihanna, on your attendance register, can you please just note Councillor Chengwa, he is here. You just had an emergency and run out quickly. Thank you. Good morning, Executive Mayor, Executive Deputy Mayor, councillors, HODs, councillors. Welcome to this meeting this morning. On this Friday, I know it's Friday today, the 27th of May, 2022. Councillors, at this moment, I just want to convey our condolences to a fellow councillor of us, the chief of the ANC, Councillor Lechaba, with the passing of her brother. Councillor, please accept our heartfelt condolences, and I will pray that the Lord give you strength in this difficult time. Councillors, I will now proceed to point number 2 on the agenda. I will allow for silent prayer meditation. Thank you very much. Point number 3, attendance of members. Rihanna.
Good morning, Speaker, Executive Mayor, Deputy Executive Mayor, and all other councillors present. Speaker, I can confirm that for your council meeting dated the 27th of May, 2022, you have the following councillors present, both via Zoom and in the council chambers. Present via Zoom, Councillor Swart,
President Rihanna,
Yes, iewers daar in die boondes. Welkom, Connie.
dankie Speaker.
we have Councillor Meyering, Councillor Wigbaard, Alderman Boysen, Councillor Malloy, Alderman Tablanche, Councillor Lechaba, Councillor Gungubele, Alderman De Vries, all present in the chambers. Present via Zoom, Councillor Cornelius,
Thank you, Councillor Cornelius.
present via Zoom, Councillor Skeepers,
Good morning, Speaker, and everybody present.
Alder Lady Dragoner, present in the chambers. Councillor Akker, present via Zoom.
Good morning, Rihanna. Good morning, everyone. I can hear you.
Councillor Sethi, Councillor Ndai, present in the chambers. Councillor Hector, present via Zoom.
Good morning, Speaker.
Morning, Councillor.
Present in the chambers. Councillor Krits, Lady Kritzinger, Councillor Cronje, Councillor Toto, Councillor van Niekerk, Councillor van Noordwijk, Councillor Taute, Councillor Steenkamp, Councillor Strubel, Councillor Matika, Councillor Chenga, Councillor Mkontu, Councillor Kanhauer, Councillor Barker, Elder Lady Reipers, Councillor Canary, Councillor Lambertine, Councillor van Rooyen. Speaker, those are all the councillors present. I can do the officials for you if you would like. Present in the chamber, Speaker, we have Ms. Holzhausen,
Yeah, Speaker,
Yes, Councillor.
I am, good morning. I am tuned in via Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Gerke.
Ms. Trix Holzhausen, Mr. Jan Willem de Jager, Mr. Gerhard Otto, Ms. Melanie Wilson, Mr. John Daniels, Ms. Nadima Davids. Those are the officials present in the chamber, Speaker. Via Zoom, we have the following: Mr. Timbani Loliwe,
You may proceed. You may proceed.
Mr. Koos Nieuwoud, Ms. Pamela Lufele, Ms. Mercy James, Ms. Ilse Simon, Ms. Louise Hook, Ms. Lauren James, Ms. Siam Sims, and also present in the council chambers, we have Mr. Dion Stoffels, and then Mr. Sipiwe Dladla and Mr. Senekaya Makakrini.
Thank you very much, Rihanna. I haven't received any applications for leave for councillors, and then councillors with, yes, CFO.
Speaker, maybe just to indicate that the municipal manager is on leave and I'm acting in his position today.
Thank you, CFO. So councillors without leave at this stage, I can't recall that there are any. No, thank you. We move on to point number 4, noting of the provisions of Schedule 7, Code of Conduct for Councillors. Point number 5, disclosure of interest by councillors and officials. Are there any councillor who want to disclose a matter that's serving today before council?
Yes, Speaker, I declare my interest on item, let me just see here. If you can assist me, I've just been busy with something.
In the enclosed agenda, councillor.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that is item D1. That is
Yes.
on 70 to 87 of our enclosed agenda.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Gericke. Councillors, then before we proceed to point number 6, just the following. You have received a district framework and process plan, I think an hour ago, if it's not less than an hour ago. It was an omission. It was supposed to be added to our B1 IDP item. So there will be a slight change on B1. We'll stay B1. Then we will do the process plan as B2, and then B2 on your agenda becomes B3. I don't want to confuse you, so we will do that when we get to that. That's just for information. Then before we proceed, we've got long service awards. And I'm a strong believer that we must really award our staff members so that they can feel that they are very valuable to the organization. Maya, can you and the acting MM please hand over the certificate for 15 years of long service to Mr. Reginald Salmons. Mr. Salmons? And the portfolio chairperson, who is the portfolio chairperson? Just take off your mask. Take off that mask, please. Congratulations, Mr. Salmon. Stand on the other side. Stand on the other side of the mayor. Stand on the other kant van die mayor, ja. Now to the next 15 years, Mr. Salmons. And congratulations as well with the new baby. He became a dad recently. So there's a lot of sleepless nights for him still lying ahead. Then, Maya, stay here, please. Thank you. Then I think this man, I was 20 years old when he started working at Garden Route Municipality. So can Mr. Kompion, who is awarded a certificate for 30 years at Garden Route Municipality. Congratulations, Mr. Kompion. That is indeed a great achievement. Stand on the other side. CFO. Stand on the other side. Who's the portfolio councillor? Congratulations once again. Thank you. Councillors, now with that formalities out of the way, we will proceed to point number 6. That's the communications by the speaker. It seems as if some of our parents were very busy during the month of June. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 councillors that are going to have their birthdays in June. It's Councillor Akker, Councillor Lechaba, Councillor Seti, Councillor Cornelius, Councillor Alderman Gerke, and also our executive mayor, Mayor Boyson, and Councillor Ndai. So I want to wish you in advance a happy birthday. I do not, is it not your birthday? Then the schedule that I've received is wrong, Mayor. Maybe you're just telling us it's not your birthday because you don't want to give us cake. But nevertheless, happy birthday in advance for all those councillors. Councillors, then we had a governance meeting, and the governance meeting is where myself as the speaker, who's the chairperson, are meeting with the whips. We had that meeting on Monday, the 23rd of May, and I believe that the different whips will still, if they haven't yet, they will share with the different caucuses what happened in that meeting. But one of the items that was discussed was the Zoom meetings. We had a discussion around how we're going to proceed going forward with Zoom. But as we all know, COVID is still real. COVID is still with us. So as a committee, we've decided that we will still keep Zoom, but wherever councillors can come in person to attend a meeting, they are more than welcome. So for now, we've parked that Zoom discussion. We will still provide the link for everybody who maybe will not be able to make it to come to the chambers. So that is in a nutshell all from me. And then I just want to, before I conclude this morning, I want to thank all the councillors who came down to show our appreciation to our firefighter Emil Kunrad and his family. And as I've said at the beginning of the meeting, when we did the handovers, I really am a strong believer that we must show our staff members we appreciate them. I will now proceed to communications by the executive mayor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And once again, good morning to everybody, to the councillors who are online, councillors who are in the chambers, the officials, those who are following us on social media. Warm good morning to everyone. Madam Speaker, I want to add to what you started off in conveying our condolences to Councillor Lichaba and her family. I just want to add on behalf of council as well, our condolences to Mr. Menze. He also he lost his mother. And then because we're a big family, we will never know what is happening within the families and in the other departments. So as the Bible would say, every day we will be in bereavement. So on behalf of any other person within the Garden Route and especially within the family of the Garden Route District Municipality, our sincere condolences. Then, Madam Speaker and colleagues, I'm going to start off my speech.
Mr. Menzi.
Lusanda Menzi, yes. He lost his mother, and our condolences to him and his family. And then, Madam Speaker and colleagues, I'm going to start off my speech in a very unusual manner. I want to start off with apologies. I want to apologize to all the councillors, but I will elaborate when we get to the items themselves. As I promised on the councillors group that I will explain the delay of why the agenda was delayed. I want to apologize, councillors, for the delay in distribution of the genders. And I'm also aware that even this morning, there were new information distributed, but I will deal with the reasons for that when we get to the items themselves. My sincere apologies. Then, Madam Speaker, I want to apologize in his absence. I want to apologize on my behalf and on your behalf, Madam Speaker. I'd like to apologize to Monde Stratu, our municipal manager, in his absence. And colleagues, you will remember right in the beginning, or the very first article which appeared in the newspapers, which was regard to a Section 5 letter, which we received from Minister Bradell's office with regarding to the Section 5 inquiry. Now, Madam Speaker, out of that article, I've learned something new, and I've learned that each and every word we utter as leaders have an impact in the community, and the meaning can mean a lot of things. Now, Madam Speaker, we use definitions like investigations, and the definition of investigation is totally different to the definition of an inquiry. Now, the moment you use the word investigation, people immediately think of something wrong that has happened, or there is a snake in the grass. And I know, Madam Speaker, you did rectify yourself or correct yourself, but it so happened that the definition was used, and that was the definition that was used as well in the newspapers, that there was an investigation. It is not an investigation, it was a Section 5 inquiry. And then on the same topic, I used the word when it was my turn to comment on the letter which we've received from the Department of Local Government. I used the word saying, I do not want to incriminate myself. That was a total wrong word. And it was based on the issue of regarding Monde Stratu. So immediately, when I said, I don't want to comment on the MM's issue, and I don't want to incriminate myself, immediately it cast aspersions on the municipal manager, as if, because I've also learned that that is a word used in criminal law, incriminate, and the perception there is that there's something you know, but you don't want to say it because you don't have your legal representatives with you. That is when you use the word incriminate. So I want to apologize to Monde Stratu that I used the wrong word. I should not have said, I don't want to comment on this matter because I don't want to incriminate myself. Monde Stratu, my sincere apologies for that. I will never use that word again, actually. Then, Madam Speaker, there's always good things and not so good things happening. And let me start with the good things. The departments are doing very well. There's always pockets of excellence that are happening within the various departments. And there's always big challenges in some of the other departments, which are the matters that I will deal with when we get to the items itself. Colleagues, I want to say thank you to the EHPs, environmental health practitioners, that team. We all know that climate change is a big thing, and it came to my attention that they're doing awareness programs at the schools, and they're giving out toolkits as well, so that people can understand, also that the kids growing up can understand the impact that we will be faced with if we don't fix the future today in terms of dealing with climate change matters. The firefighters with again related to climate change, there will always be fires. and we had recent fires again. I want to say thank you to the firemen and firewomen that dealt with the fires in Reitersbos, in Herbertsdale, is it Kraaibosch, Pakkelsdorp, and all the other fires that I have not mentioned here. Colleagues, thank you very much. We know that it is a very tough task. We say thank you to our firefighters, apart from the fact that we also have a champion within the team, but we're proud of everybody in the firefighting department. Then I want to say thank you to the Deputy Executive Mayor, Advocate van Niekerk, and Councillor Kritzinger, and all the other councillors who were part of putting smiles on SMME's faces. There was a handover ceremony. Unfortunately, I could not attend it, but I am aware that, again, we've made history this time around. For this financial year, we have supported or we have laid a foundation for SMMEs to thrive, 32 of them, and they were given all the goodies that they might need to make this region a success, with all the other partners, the LED department, the CEDAS, the Department of Agriculture, the Garden Route Development partners, all of the role players who has put shoulder to the wheel to make sure that our small businesses can be given the opportunities to thrive. Then, Madam Speaker, also in tourism, there are people who are keeping the flag high. I want to say thank you to Melanie, you and your team, and all the other role players that are always part of the exhibitions, making sure that we're putting the garden route on the map. Thank you very much. I'm aware that the garden route was represented at, is it called Africa Travel? Thank you very much. And I also know that Councillor De Vries, with all the hay on your fork, you know, you also play a very crucial role behind the scenes in terms of what is happening with upskilling of the youth, what is happening with, because it's not just about bursaries, it's about everything that has got to do with tourism and everything that committee of yours deals with. We read about it, we see the outcomes, we see the fruit of that. Thank you very much. And then, Madam Speaker, I also want to reiterate for those who were not part of the celebrations this morning at 10, that Emil is really making us proud. He's making his team proud. He's making victims of fire. He makes them proud. He is not just part of the team, but is also somebody who thrives as an individual that uplifts the spirit of the rest of the firefighters. Emil, once again, congratulations from us as council, and on behalf of the municipality as well, congratulations. And then, Madam Speaker and colleagues, lastly, we know that we had a rough time in the media, and I know it's probably still going to continue because it's the nature of when there's sensationalism and when there are issues that make people sit up straight or that make people look at others with suspicion. It will continue for a couple of days in the media. And I'm not just referring to print media, I'm referring to social media as well. But Madam Speaker, we know what the problem is in South Africa. We know we're sitting with high unemployment. We know mismanagement is an issue. We know crime is an issue. With all the ills of society, we also know that there are structures in place or people mobilize themselves to deal with such ills to make sure that South Africa becomes a better South Africa. So, but Madam Speaker, what I want to condemn with the condemnation it deserves, I want to condemn councillors, people of the Garden Route, officials. I want to condemn formations that peddles distorted information. And I want to condemn it, especially if the distortion leads to the possible formation of other structures that counters what is already out there. The structures are getting formed, and if people are not happy with what is contained in other structures, they form another structure to confront the other structure. But out of all of that, some people's names get hanged to the clock, or the institution gets hanged to the clock. There's a formation, and apparently I saw this morning, it was circulated. There's now another formation, Garden Route Movement, and there's also an formation, Garden Route Crime Busters. And if one reads, Corruption Busters, you know, and if one reads the spirit of the communication within the two different structures, it is clear that it is they're competing with the truth, or they're competing with the distorted information. But I want to condemn it when it comes to untested allegations. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Maya. Are there any interaction with the Mayor's speech? Elder Lady Dragoner.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I just want to ask the Mayor, did Emil go on his own overseas and compete, or is it about the Garden Route district municipality? Was hy enige bydrae gemaak ten opsigte van dit? Het die raad hom gestuur, of is dit op sy eie bekom? A clear answer, financial assistance, everything.
Any other interactions? Rihanna, you must just help me online as well, but I don't see any hands. Maya?
My Speaker, I thought we don't use hands anymore.
I'm talking about the hands. I can't see your mic.
Oh, my apologies. I will do that. Thank you, Speaker.
Alderman, you may proceed.
Yeah, but now you see, that's for me to read sometimes. You know, I'm getting old, so I must make notes.
Okay.
Memory losses happens on a regular basis. Speaker, let me start to a very concerning statement by the Mayor. And actually, I want to condemn that in terms of his condemnation of structures. When we put ourselves into public office and as organizations, we are going to put ourselves in the spotlight, and there's going to be scrutiny in terms of what we are doing. And at times it's going to be untested, distorted, but also at times those happen because of a lack of information. And in fact, it depends on how do we respond to those. But I think we must be very careful to attack and condemn civil society when they play the broader oversight role. I was, at the time when I was in Nice municipality, particularly even by the same individuals involved that I've read in terms of this one, where my name was also in the newspaper, distorted information and how I was illegally funded by the Nice municipality. The way it was handled, yes, and you know that they also even in Parliament, is how do you deal and respond to that? And even while you are angry, and also you have to start to explain to your friends and your family what is there in newspapers. But I think that we should not reach a state where we publicly, and especially Mayor wearing that saying, that we condemn civil society when they want to play their scrutiny. So we then, as this body, should then respond to them and put their record straight. What they do with that information, and it happens, and it will happen sometimes, they might not be satisfied with the information that is given, and they will continue. But I think that as a public organization, we must be very careful that we create the perception that we are not going to accept any criticism from people or want to actually play from a civil side to oversight. And a lot of times it's because of a lack of information when that happens. And we should then put the record straight, but we should not condemn them. And I think to your first statement in terms of where you apologize, it's in terms of using the word incrimination, the speaker using the word investigation. And that happened at times because how we respond when information is being asked. I think the other word that was being used was, I think, the law sub judice. I know how to spell it, but then I think always I'm wrong when I have to pronounce it. And I Googled it, and it says that under judicial consideration, therefore, prohibit from public discussions. And that's what you do when you're in a meeting, you're telling us that it's sub judice. So immediately it means there's something happened. So it's not us at times as opposition or the person asking information from outside that put this, is the way that we respond in terms of that. And that is what we must learn and be very careful about. And although there's a matter in committee, but I want to put it on the record still, that even as a council, as a full council, there was a reference to the section, and I will use the correct word, section 5 inquiry from Minister Badal. This council haven't seen it. You have seen it. We could probably have seen it, but we still don't know in terms of how or what it is. So even if it's for notification for council to say that this is what we have received, because you are keeping council in the dark. To say, council, this letter I have received, I'm busy dealing it and I'm responding to it. And when there's a response from the minister, I will bring that back to council. But up to now, and it was the speaker who mentioned the one thing, and I, in that meeting, actually raised a concern that you say you can't discuss it, but you raise one thing and the other 5 or 7 issues wasn't mentioned to us. So you have to blame in terms of if there's any other misperception out there around this matter. But my final point is that let us not discourage civil society to play the oversight or whatever. Even if they are wrong, let us put the record straight. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman De Vries. Alderman Gericke.
Thank you, Speaker. Good morning, Mayor. And
Sorry, my apologies, Alderman Gericke. I'm taking all the questions and then the mayor is going to respond. You may proceed.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, again, also the PBI's heartfelt condolences to Councillor Lachaba and Mr. Menzi on the loss of their dearest family members. We pray that our Holy Spirit will comfort them and their families in this time of bereavement. Madam Speaker, let me also then congratulate Mr. Emil Conrad on an outstanding achievement. I could not make it this morning to the event, but my heart was there. Great amount of admiration for his achievement and representing the region on an international level. And then, Madam Speaker, to all the good that's taking place, yes, we are in full support of awarding our staff members for outstanding achievements, and we must encourage that at any cost. That is also to encourage those that are still to come to play an excellent role in the workplace. In terms of the apology by the mayor, Madam Speaker, the apology is noted, but noted with concern. We must be mindful of what we say when we react. We are serving on a public platform. We are, all of us, even if we are not on this platform, we are constantly under public scrutiny. Wherever we are, whatever we say, the public takes seriously note of what we say. And I simply just think that by submitting this apology now, it's some kind of strategy to absolve or redeem this which is still to come in the agenda. And we must not preempt or put any item in some kind of corner or predicament that is about to serve by what we're trying to do in rendering an apology. I have been vilified, if you want to individualize or personalize this, for many months because of lies that appeared in the newspaper. Nobody of this council stood up for me, and nobody said, no, this man did not steal the money. This is the real term, here's the term, and so on and so on. But I've been vilified and I've been left alone. Nobody whatsoever stood up and put it right. Even people that are in political office now called me a thief on Facebook and on social media. But I've stood the test and I will come out victorious in any way, regardless of what is against me. So we must be mindful of that. And then let me also say, for many, many years in this council now, and in, on all other platforms where I serve, I have repeatedly said that the interpretation of wording will lead to another conclusion. And for instance, the word that we constantly hide behind, a criminal, sub judice. I've repeatedly stated that I'm not a lawyer, but my research shows that a case is only sub judice when it's under judicial review, scrutiny, or in a court of law. And this case has been brought by somebody in the DA in KwaZulu-Natal, and it has been tried and tested. Any other matter can be discussed, but we're using these powerful words to hide our own inability and to keep people away from debating the issues of the day. Here we are now, in conclusion. Yes, we are in rough times. We must, it will depend on us. How do we manage the rough time? How do we manage the type of distortion that we're talking about in the media? It's about managing it. It's not about throwing our toys out of the cot or responding in the emotionally or vilifying people. It's about keeping our heads level, and it's about facing the communities with the allegations, facing this council and this institution and certain individuals. And we have to make the right decisions in order to satisfy the electorate. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Alderman Gericke. Councillor Skeepers. Councillor Skeepers, your hand is raised. Councillor Skeepers for the third time. What happened to the hand now? Okay, Maya, if there are no other questions, Maya, can you please respond?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the question from Elder Lady Drachunder on whether we've contributed to Emil's travels overseas and what were the financial implications. Madam Speaker, I do not have those answers. All I know that he proudly represented the institution. So the people with the information, because that is not in my ambit in terms of who pays for what when. I only know when people request financial assistance from me directly out of the funds in my office, then I would be aware that a contribution has been made. But if it's in any other department where that is being required or whatever, I will not know. So my question, Elder Lady, I am not aware of how much or if any financial contribution has been made to Emil's endeavors. Then, Madam Speaker, the issues raised by Alderman de Vries in terms of we need to be careful in condemning public structures. I want to say this very slowly. And once again, it is how we interpret and how we put things out there. I fully agree. All of us here in the public space, we must and we will take the flag. That is a given. We knew from day one. But it's also incumbent on us to also educate society. All rights are subjected. There is no right that overrides any other person's right. All rights, even in the Constitution, whatever right you have to cast aspersions, those rights are subjected. To do whatever those rights, your freedom of speech is subjected. All rights are subjected. Now, what I wanted to illustrate here, and this is the part I'm going to say slowly, it is good and well for structures to keep us on our toes. But the law doesn't matter whether we're public servants or whether we're civilians. The law says, and this is where I want people to take a leave out of this. There's something called criminal injuria. We must still be careful on what we say, how we say it, because criminal injuria can kick in. And this is what I'm trying to portray here. So whatever we want to say it, and just be aware that it will not trigger criminal injuria, because it is, as Councillor De Vries is saying, is the right facts, and it is a matter of communication, but we should not put ourselves in harm's way. I'm just warning that some people might be guilty of criminal injuria. And Madam Speaker, I will be surprised, or if it is the case, because I'm also not aware, Alderman, that the Section 5 inquiry is not entirely communicated to council or to councillors. And Madam Speaker, I don't know whether councillors, the rest of the council, I don't know whether they're in possession of the communication, because I do believe, and I would agree, councillors are entitled to that communication. And from where I'm sitting, I'm aware that it is in my possession. I have seen everything. But if that is the case, Madam Speaker, it is up to you in terms of how would the rest of the councillors see that communication, even before we get another response from the department, because we're still in the process of awaiting our response to that. And on the matters raised by Alderman Gericke, again, as politicians, we can play with words, and we can preempt certain things, but I want to disagree with Alderman Gericke that this is an attempt to influence a specific agenda that we still need to debate, and that this is a strategy. It is none of that. Now, let me tell you slowly what it is all about. Monde Strato's image were heard in this platform by utterances made by myself. And this is the very same platform where I need to rectify it. And that is the only reason. And this is where I've said it. I must come and fix it here.
I've noted your hand, two councillors. You must switch off, Maya.
I'm worried about the direction this, whatever is going on here now, is going into. Can we please stop this? There's certain items about specifically what the mayor, and we are mentioning names and stuff here, but you want to, later on, we want to do certain things in what do you call it, in committee. Please, let's just refer to what the mayor in his comment said, and let's stop this debates about things which I think we should speak about later on. Thank you,
Councillor. Do you want to follow up on the answer that the mayor has given you, all the lady?
Yes, that's the first one. Somebody must tell me, did council make a contribution about Emil? Somebody must know. And I want to know if the municipality make not negativity. Ek weet hoekom ek het vra. So iemand moet eerlik wees met my en sê of hulle bygedra het vir Emil se opleiding oor see, en dat hy kon teruggekom het en die naam van die Kanerhoed munisipaliteit kom hoog hou het hier in die Suid-Kaap. Dis die een ding. Die ander ding, Madam Speaker, I just want to warn you. It was now a debate who's taking place here. And each and everybody must just elaborate on the speech of the mayor, and that is finished. You can't let the mayor also now answer what count or Alderman the Free said and what Alderman Gierke said. That is finished. It's only a comment stating here on the agenda reports from the office of the mayor. That's all. It's not a debate. And can please somebody, Jan Hendrik, you are the finance person, you must tell us, or tricks, you are corporate, you are working with the training money and stuff like that, somebody. And if I ask the mayor, because the mayor mentioned it in his speech, that's why I'm asking him. I'm not, wil hy moet my antwoord nie, maar daar is mos nou amptenare wat het moet doen.
Thank you, all the lady. I'll ask Jan Willem. And the other concerns that you've mentioned is noted. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Speaker. Elder Lady Drachner Gardner hasn't made any contribution to Emil's overseas travels. We did not make a contribution to the overseas trip. No.
Thank you, all the lady. Thank you, Maya. I think you're done. We're going to proceed. Thank you, everybody. Councillors, thank you, Maya, for your communications. 9 and 10 will stand over to our next meeting. But then 11 standing items, there's none. There's no reports from the speaker. Then we're going to section B. And as I've said earlier, B1 is the IDP. Then we will deal with B2 as a district framework and process plan. And then B2 on the agenda, which is the final budget, will become B3. Are you following, councillors? Okay. So B1 has got it's the IDP of Garden Route 2022 to 2027. We've got the recommendations on page 7 of our agenda. The recommendation, there it is on the screen, that council adopts the 2022 to 2027 IDP. P2, 5.2, that the public be notified of the approved 2022 to 2027 IDP. Any interactions, councillors? Any questions? Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is an item that we have dealt with on numerous occasions. We actually at one stage even had an IDP rep forum in Mossel Bay. We touched on it again in one of the workshops. So I would recommend, Madam Speaker, that we go with the recommendations.
Councillor Tauti?
Okay, thank you, Speaker. Speaker, no, I haven't got a problem with the recommendations as it is there currently. But I would like to say the following about this council's IDP. I've previously mentioned it also in previous engagements on the IDP, and I can remember right at the beginning when we were in George, when I can't remember the lady's name. The lady who was involved with it, with the IDPs, and I specifically asked a question about public participation, Mayor. Now, and I want to edit, I want to add on, I'm from Hesekwa, I want to add on Hesekwa specifically towards this IDP or the district council. The district is supposed to cover all areas. And I first need to compliment the officials who compiled this document. I think it's a very good document. It's our clear plan for the next 5 years, but we can change this plan every year if we want to. And Madam Speaker, I've said to myself that I want to change this IDP next year. when we do have the opportunity to change it, because currently I'm worried about, I will allow this one to go through, and I will in fact say, go ahead, because the time frame is too little. I'm a few months in this council, and it's difficult to elaborate on everything which is of concern to me. But I want to do it in connection to our local municipality. Wednesday, we had our council meeting in Essequa, and we also adopt our IDP there. And it's very, very clear. And remember in George, when that meeting was in George, I asked the lady about about participation towards our IDPs, and she said that they are, the district council are totally depending actually on the inputs coming from the B municipalities. In fact, Essequa's IDP will be in here. And at Essequa yesterday, Wednesday, when we have our IDP, in fact, I have asked the officials who work with it, please, I want to see this kind of information in our IDP, and they give it to us. And you know, Madam Speaker, I want to show to you how skewed Essequa's IDP and budget currently are due to this plan which we draw up in Essequa. And I haven't got a problem with the IDP which they put forward to us. But for instance, I'm going to use one thing there. I specifically asked about the demographics about Essequa. Now, when I speak about Essequa, it concerns this council too, because we are part of the district council. I specifically asked about the demographics about Essequa. In Essequa, you have coastal towns, and then you have inland towns. The coastal towns is mostly, according to the demographics, populated by white people. They put it clearly there. Goudsmond, 90% are white. Witstrand, 90% are white. Stilbaai, 90% are white. Riversdale, 80%, nearly 80% are colored. Heidelberg, the same. 80% colored. Albertinia, the same. When you look at the plan of Essequa then, in Goudsmond, there's only 300 people there. In Witstrand, 300 people. In Stilbaai, 3,000 people. In Riversdale, only Riversdale, 17,000 people. And if you look at that plan was adopted by council because they said that growth is in the coastal towns, in Stilbaai, Goudsmond, Witstrand. Not so much those two small ones, but Stilbaai. The growth in Stilbaai currently is residential growth. That's all. They are very happy that there's growth, residential growth, because the building industry are growing. People will work from inland towns daily. Loads of buses and vehicles going to Stilbaai to go and work there in the building industry. When that bloom of industrial growth, not industrial, residential growth are over, there won't be any work anymore. It's not sustainable because it's a coastal town, it's a tourism town, there's no industries there, there's no jobs there. After that bloom of residential growth in Stilbaai, our people in the inland towns will only be servants in the houses or gardeners. Some of them might even be working in some of the restaurants. But currently, if you see the people coming from the north, most of them are also being accommodated now currently as waiters in the restaurants, and our people living there don't have anything. Now, if you look at the budget then of Essequa, you can see over the last 5 years how skewed that budget was. It's nearly 400 million rand over the last 5 years, which was put into Stilbaai. Even this district council, I saw it on Facebook, how the DA councillors was in Jongensfontein working on a Saturday on the road there. I don't know. I know why, because it's you need to show that the DA is doing something or whatever. A town of 300 people, small little town, white people staying there, but the Indian towns where the majority of the poor people stays, nothing is happening there. Now, Speaker, I'm not going to be angry about this district council's IDP. I won't be angry because I'm going to make sure that I will make sure that there's enough public inputs from my side into this document next year to see whether it's there. And if it's not there, then I won't adopt this next year. But for now, because of the short time that I'm here, I will accept it and give it a chance. Because I don't think it's your fault that you embrace an IDP of a B municipality like Hesekwa, where it's, for me from Hesekwa, it's clear that that IDP from them is very, very skew and very anti-poor people. And yeah, and I want to add on, if the district council supports something like that, that we support residential growth in coastal towns, then we're on the wrong track. Then we are not sustaining our area in a long term, or in a long sustainable term.
Can you conclude, please?
We should rethink and think more about creating opportunities for industrial areas, for people to get proper work, for people to be owners of their own destiny. I'm going to leave it there, Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Tauti. Councillor Letts. Oh, you must know. No, you switch off your mic now. May I switch now? You're off yours. Thank you.
There you go.
Then you can switch it on again.
Am I on now? I apologize. It's just an administrative note. The catalytic projects on pages 42 and 43 of the IDP document. It's on pages 49 and 50 of the full document that we received. The catalytic projects have been overlapped in the tables and we cannot see. So if this is going to be posted online, the public will also not be able to see it as such. And I think it's important that we rectify that, please.
I just want to know from the administration, did you get that pages? Did you, Trix? Thank you, Trix. What is happening here now? Maya, are you giving Council okay. Council Alderman De Vries?
Thank you, Speaker. I would like to, just when the Mayor respond to that, we take into account the concerns raised by Councillor Tauti. And I want to put it this way, that I think that, as he indicated, we take for granted what we receive, that it's IDP as a whole reflecting the needs of a municipal area. And of course, because that is a legislative body, that is what we take into account. But I think that we must create perhaps opportunity. We know the IDP managers meets and they will get the inputs and whatever, but there's no real opportunity for us. And I know that with the exception, I think perhaps with the Kanaland, there's only one rep, but mostly most of the parties or the major parties are represented from the local B municipalities here. And perhaps create a platform when at that stage when we get to the IDP, allow a discussion or workshop where we can actually speak to the representative from the B municipality to say, this is what your IDP is saying, are we on par, so that when we finalize our IDP, then actually we know that we have taken that into account. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. It's a very good suggestion. Maya?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am convinced that all the other councillors from the other municipalities would be able to go in the same trajectory, whether it's George, whether it's Mossel Bay, whether it's Kanaland, all the other councillors would go, can go with that trajectory raised by Alderman Tauti. Now, for me, oh, sorry. All right. My apologies for that. But the reason, and I've been saying this from day one, there is a lot of experience on that side of the chambers. And Councillor Tauti, you are one of those people. You've been a mayor, you have been everything one can think of within the arena. And at the back of my mind, being an alderman should actually be based on that. And this is why I call a lot of you aldermen and elder lady, because I respect your experience. But then again, I must also respect when people feel that it puts them in another league and they don't want that league. I will accept that. But to come back to exactly the issues raised by Councillor Tauti, is that, as I was saying, everybody, this should actually be the new debate and the new discussion going forward on. To add on what Alderman De Vries was saying, is that how do we make sure that the presentations are true reflection? And when it's a true reflection, what can we do differently? Because I believe we as the district is to fill the gaps. If there's a gap in a B, we must be able to fill it in terms of how can we make it work better. So, Councillor, we take that challenge, that is the route that we should take. Seconded by Alderman De Vries, we need to have a better discussion and a different discussion. And then I'm going to come to the second point. You've raised that the DA councillors were in Jongersfontein, that the DA was in Jongersfontein. Now, colleagues, I can understand why councillor would see it that way. And it takes us back to an issue which we have raised here, is that when we are on site visits and when we're doing ceremonies, it is to make sure that all representatives within this council are represented. There must be ANC councillors, good councillors, Freedom Front Plus councillors, DA councillors. We go out as a unit, then people see government. Now, if it was a different, what I don't know is who was invited. All I know is that myself and the deputy, we get invites. We don't know who else has been invited. When we rock up there, we find people there. So we don't have a say in who's been invited and who not. And it does make us feel comfortable at times. But where is so-and-so? Why are they not here, etc. So to the administration and to the people who are dealing with invites, because we were on a site inspection, to the people who are doing the invites, let all the whips be invited when it comes to matters where myself and the deputy needs to go and play a ceremonial role. Everybody else must be invited, and whether they decline or whatever, it's a different story. Thank you.
I've had a proposal in the form of the executive mayor. If there are no other questions on the recommendation, can I get a seconder for that?
Yes, Speaker, I would like to second the mayor in terms of this item. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we've got a proposal and a seconder, so we can, Maya.
I want to overrule that. Councillor Tauti have already seconded.
Thank you, Maya. Just for minute purposes, Councillor Matika has also joined the meeting via Zoom. So is it now Councillor Tauti that have seconded the mayor? Yes, thank you, Councillor Tauti. But next year we will make sure that hometown of mine is included in the IDP. Yeah, Alderman De Vries. We will now proceed to B2, councillors, and B2 is a district framework and process plan. I hope all of you have received it. The recommendations there is this, that we adopt 2022 to 2027 district framework process plan, and that the public be notified of the adopted district framework and IDP process plan. Mayor?
Madam Speaker, is one of the items that has been a late submission, and it's one of the items that we would like to apologize for. And there's a councillor in the house that when I first got here, this process plans have always been an omission in the past, and we've approved IDPs and budgets without process plans. And there's one councillor who triggered that with me and is Alderman de Vries. Alderman de Vries was always the one, whatever we're approving, he would ask, where's the process plan? You're putting money there, you're doing this. How are we going to get to the actual expenditure? How are we going to get to actually landing what we say we're going to do in the budget within the communities? So, Alderman de Vries, I think I will accolade this to you, but I will also then say in the same breath, officials, let this be highlighted when we are dealing with these items. Let it become the norm. Thank you. I would then also propose that with the limited time for us to scrutinize this, this is also the skeleton in terms of how we're going to land the budget. So it goes without saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Any other comments? Alderman de Vries?
Thank you, Speaker. Yes, I have an opportunity to read that document, but I can recall in terms of when we were in the structures, and I think we'll discuss it. Can we, and I'm not sure, that's why I won't be able to refer to any section. Can we agree that we insert what we've just agreed earlier in terms of the process plan, make provision where we as a council discuss the input from the B municipalities, and the officials can then insert it at the appropriate section where it should be. We know that, sorry, it's part of the policy, so that if it doesn't happen, then someone must then answer. Thank you.
Meyer?
I will support that amendment, Madam Speaker.
So then we go with that recommendation as amended by Alderman de Vries. Thank you. We proceed now to B3, that is the final budget 2022-2023 MTRIF, medium-term revenue and expenditure framework. Councillors, it's on page 437 up to page 1013. If Brianna can just put on the screen just the recommendations quickly. The recommendations are on page 438. My apologies, start on page 438. Maya, and then Councillor Chengwa.
Madam Speaker, thank you, and councillors. Again, this is one of the items, in Afrikaans, they will say, onze deur het gedraf. We've worked on it, and not even once, but I think a couple of times. And then there was a lot of debate on whether we should take this trajectory or not, etc., etc. But Madam Speaker, here we are. It is not a Ferrari. It is not a Ferrari or a Porsche model. It is something that we strive to achieve. And there's also some new things included in the budget that also came up in the debate with the workshop. And I would then say that all the new things in this budget, and I've said it in the training committee, that it is a trial run for us, the new things, and if the new things are not going to work, we will revisit that, and what is not working, we will change. Thank you.
Did you now switch off your mic, Councillor Chengwa? Your mic was on, yeah. And then after you, it will be Councillor Balka. You must keep so that it can.
Okay, thank you. Inkosi kakhulu, mhlanga phambili. Chairperson, Madam Speaker, usodolophu unyanisile ka sithi le budget yakhe ayo Ferrari. Xa ndijonga le budget ndifanisa nemoto ecotha kakhulu, eza moto ezincintwa ayo Ferrari, and indeed le budget. And second, Speaker, enyanisweni xa sikhangela kumcimbi odibene nophuhliswa kwe-area zethu, and kuyabonakala that sisekude phambili sodolophu. Ndiyayazi part of into endithanda uzirayiza imicimbi edibene nendlela, infrastructure, nokumaintainwa kwazo. Xa ndikhangela apha kwibhajethi kuyabonakala sisekudana and ndinexhala. Because zizinto ezithetha nabantu bethu direct, zizinto ezi-close entliziyweni zabantu bethu. Xa uthetha nge-self delivery, yenye yezinto ezingundoqo ekuphuhlisweni kobomi notshintshwa kobomi babantu bethu. And sodolophu and ndifuna umuva kancinci, and part of i-concern endinayo somlomo xa bendijonga kule budget ndiyabona nje ikhona imali ebekwe bucala for i-donation izipho for i-office kasomlomo, ki-office kasekela sodolophu. And ndinomdla ke sodolophu for u-understanda nawe somlomo that bangaba sithi sizawubeka imali bucala ezizawumanejwa kweza office, you know, because last time I check and even umuntu endicinga ubana unelungelo lento bana makabe nayo ingxowa for uncedisa noxhasa abantu office kasodolophu. You know, bangaba sithi sizawubeka imali office kasomlomo nosekela sodolophu. I mean ezo sizathu ezo si-informwa yintoni, imali ezawuthwani, imali ezawusetyenziswa njani. So ndiyafuna uthi kule budget yethu engekhoyo ndinenkinga, ndinengxaki kakhulu. So sodolophu andikwazi uhlala ndithule bangabujonga apha umcimbi obandakanya abantu abatsha. Basijonga ibhajethi uthetha nge-60,000 rand, bangabujonga imicimbi ekufutshane komama. Ayo mali leyo, you know, xa ujonga ii-challenges zabantu bethu apha egarden route ezihongo. I-garden route siyayazi iqala phi phela ndawo, you know, and there's, normally siyayazi, sidla ngothini. I understand into yokushokoxeka kwesimo sezomnotho, but xa ndithi xa uzomnika usomlomo unika usekela sodolophu imali for isizathu santoni, sinose sithathe yonke laa mali siyise apho imali ihlala khona, apho abantu bethu bazawuncediswa khona. So ndiyafuna ukuthi sekela sodolophu mna ndibuye, ndiyafuna uphakamisa nje loo nkxalabo endinayo. You know, ndiyacinga into yobana ke laa mfo utolikayo uzandibetha kakuhle, bangibamba kakuhle ukuthi ndisitshotshele ndiye phambili. Ndicela uphela kule ndawo leyo and ndinethemba le nto ubuza into hlobo ndiyithethe ngayo le nto. Bawuzukwazi ukuthi ndibhulentsela. Yes.
Bonnie, can you just switch off your mics? I know the order. It's going to be Councillor Barker after that.
Okay, thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the mayor is correct when he says the budget is not a Ferrari. Indeed, Mayor, the budget is a slow-moving car. When we look at the development of our community, Speaker, I know that not much has been done in our communities and our people are complaining about development. For instance, issues of infrastructure, development in roads in our areas is not happening as much as we expected. I also see that part of the budget, there are funds that are set aside for donations in the office of the mayor, the deputy mayor, and the office of the speaker. In my opinion, is that the only office that should have allocated funds or donation, it should have been the office of the mayor. I don't see the need why there should be provisions for in the office of the deputy mayor and that of the speaker. And also, when I look in terms of what is budgeted for youth development, is merely a 60,000 rand, which I really see just a drop in the ocean in terms of the development of our youth. There's also issues that have to do with women development. There's not much done for that. So I would really like to know, for instance, why are these monies really there in the offices of the speaker and of the deputy mayor? Thank you.
Councillor Barker, somebody else must just switch off their mic quickly. Councillor Barker, and then I've noted Councillor De Vries, Alderman De Vries, and Alderman Gericke, who's online after that, and then the mayor.
Thank you, Madam.
Councillor Tauti.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Before I start, I just want to thank the administration for bearing with the decisions we made. And, you know, at the end of the day, it was a lot of work to do in a very small period of time, but you did so graciously. Thank you so very much for your hard work and long hours. It is much appreciated. We have in the workshops actually debated all of the issues currently raised Madam Speaker, by Councillor Tsengwa. And it was actually debated for quite some time. When it comes to the donations also in certain offices, I think the whole idea behind it is actually to not make donations towards specific communities, but actually to try and develop the youth. And I also recall our executive mayor saying that with the youth development, we will focus in our capital projects to develop our youth through that, seeing as the amount that was budgeted for youth development isn't very big. We must also just please take into account, and I can't put more focus on this as I have in the past 3 council meetings and workshops, as well as in committee meetings, that we need to look together, we need to take hands and we need to look at something, some project that this municipality is going to have to roll out to give us a long-term financial sustainable income. We cannot develop the youth and we cannot put money into our communities if we do not have the income. This municipality needs an income and I cannot focus on this or emphasize it more. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Parker. Let me just check my list. Alderman De Vries, then Alderman Gericke. Chengwa, Councillor Chengwa, switch off your mic, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Let me start by saying that we understand the budget constraints that we have as a municipality, as a council, and hence why we appreciate the fact that we don't have a Ferrari. We have a, perhaps I'm not sure, but Minis is expensive these also, but it might have a Toyota, old one like mine. Now, when you claim poverty, then you must act like the poor person also then. In the past, we have raised the issue around uncoordinated programs within communities, whether it's youth development or social development. We know, for instance, we have a lot of NGOs, we have a lot of government departments, we're all saying we're doing the same thing. But actually, we are wasting money. Some of the money is wasted on administration fee, because whatever you give is a portion. But also the impact then of the programs, where you can have one budget for youth development of 500,000, splitting it into 50,000. It's not necessarily going to have a huge impact. Yes, we're going to have the outcome, but the outputs. And I think that as we move forward in this country, one of the problems that we have in terms of is the output and the impact of those programs. Yes, we can scatter and give money to 100 organizations, but the output of that and the impact is not going to be great. When you give to one organization, it might be greater, or one program, if you do that. Now, and I'm raising this in the sense that we want to take a little bit of money that we have or don't have, and we want to split it into 7 portfolios or 5 or 8. That is not going to have an impact. Amazing. Because every person is going to decide what is going to do. Secondly, it's not, there's only some framework that we have is for the office of the executive mayor. We will understand in the normal circumstances, perhaps that you give to the deputy mayor and the speaker. But in this case, we don't have the money. So if we give a big amount of 60,000 rand for youth development, and now we want to claim, but perhaps all the other money, the other 750,000 rands is also going to that. There's no guarantee on that. And there's no way in terms of a destiny to say how that is going to be spent. So we believe that we should have better look more at in terms of the impact, in terms of what we want to achieve, rather than just splitting money so that everybody is happy. The question perhaps, and also one of our concerns in terms of to support the budget, in the one of the documents, I'm not sure whether it was in the steering committee, but steering committee, I can't get the page now, whether it was in that meeting. But it's mentioned that we have a deficit budget. Now, generally, we should not be scared of that. But there's mention that was made, Councillor Tati can assist me if I can't find the page, to say that we will deal with that, with the deficit with some of our reserves. And somehow it will be managed. Now, the question will be, why don't we manage it now in the budget? Normally, I know that one of the areas that we will have sometimes leeway is that we have money in our, in fact, some of the reserves is mandatory. So I would first have to explain what money are we talking about, what reserves. But we know there's a capital reserve, for instance, and normally with the capital projects, we fund out of that. Now, just one of the items is about 5-7 million rand, one of the items under the capital budget. So if we're saying later on, why don't we now already say that we're going to use that money from the capital infrastructure budget? So why do we then continue having a deficit unless it can be explained about what is the rationale behind that? Why not taking decision? Why not have I'm not sure if CFO is a cash funded budget or a budget at zero deficit. So that budget strategy doesn't make sense in terms of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alderman De Vries. Alderman Gericke.
Yeah, thank you, Speaker. Speaker, 2 years ago, the mayor delegated me to attend a SALGA workshop virtually, or 18 months ago. And in that conference of SALGA, the different office bearers were praising each other, how good SALGA is and how well they do, and all those type of things. I was dumbstruck in that meeting, so much so that I did not utter a single word, because these guys are praising one another whilst our communities are in turmoil and in destruction. I could not believe what I've heard there. We want to be politicians that articulate smartly and look smart and come present ourselves smart and so on, but our communities are just in turmoil. And we are not making a single dent in the circumstances of poor, vulnerable, and disadvantaged communities. This budget, although we've discussed it, and I hear the key word is here that we've debated. Yes, we have debated this budget. But everything that we have submitted as the opposition has just been wiped off the table. There were excuses for just about everything. We have made a strong point about the upliftment of SMMEs. We have made a strong point about increasing the budget for SMMEs. I've listened to Councillor Tauti now 2 months ago. He expressed the very same sentiment. At that time, the red lights should have come on already, and he should have been engaged. And it's a powerful presentation that he's doing, and is no different anyway. But still, we continue on the same trajectory. We cannot show evidence or proof that we are uplifting the poorer communities, that we are radically changing the budget in order to fit in poor communities and disadvantaged communities. And the IDP is actually meant to redress the inequalities of the past. But we haven't done anything about it. Except in Afrikaans, sak ek my kop in skaamte vanoggend. Baie dankie.
I just want to hear. Thank you, Alderman. Do you still want your hand still raised? Yes. Can everybody else just switch off? Then it's Councillor Tauti, and then the Lady Draguner, and then the mayor.
Yeah. Speaker, thank you. Just on what Comrade, sorry man, Councillor De Vries said, he asked about the page. It's page 463. It's under operating surplus and then in brackets deficit. And to the financial officer, Mr. De Jager, it said that it's accumulated reserves from the prior years. Is it possible also, if you answer him, that you can perhaps give us the amount of accumulated reserves which we have over the prior years how much money do we have? That's one thing. And then Maya, if I can quickly just go back to that, I can remember when we had the workshop about the budget. There was two documents, and the one document the lady got, which was different from ours. There was no projects. We said that we're going to save no projects, but then it was changed, and the project is there now currently. But Maya, someone else also mentioned, I don't know if it's Councillor Chwenge or Councillor De Vries who mentioned it about the donations going to the 7 portfolios. I personally would have been, and I'm not talking about the caucus or whatever, personally would have been more happier if, in fact, all that money then either resort under the mayor and not so much into these different portfolios. I'm worried, Mayor, that, and I don't say that it will happen, but the opportunity is there that it can be misused politically. And I'm not going to elaborate on that. That's my only worry. And I also think that we should. I think the chairperson of the finance committee also mentioned about youth development. There is many ways how we can develop our youth, where we can, in fact, with money like this, help our youth to, I won't say, where we don't just hand out donations, but we teach them how to fish and create for themselves. One very good example of what this municipality did very well, and I was very impressed when I heard about it the first time, was this catering project thing. Mayor, that's the kind of things which we should support and not just hand out and create our young people and create opportunities for young people to say, after this, I will be a qualified chef. After this, I won't be a gardener, or I won't work in someone else's house for the rest of my house, or for my life like that. But create entrepreneurship, entrepreneurs. If we can do that with these donations, Mayor, it will be, I personally would be very happy and very impressed. But I'm worried about all these projects and donations under the different portfolio committees. I don't think that should be like that. I think we are busy creating a problem for ourselves in the future. Thank you, Mayor.
Elder Lady Dragonder.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Just some clarity on page 440. It stated, for instance, tariewe beleid, and maybe you must help me here. Tariewe beleid, langtermyn finansiële bestuurbeleid, begrotingsbeleid, en so kan ek aangaan tot onder op die bladsy. Is beleid nie iets wat die raad oor besluit en dan vorm dit 'n beleid van die raad? As ons byvoorbeeld gaan kyk aan die voorkeurverkrygingsbeleid, supply chain, dis mos nie 'n beleid nie, dis mos 'n act. Ek is net 'n bietjie confused daar. Iemand moet my net asseblief 'n bietjie reg help. Dit wat ek weet, as die raad 'n besluit neem, dan vorm daai besluit 'n beleid van die raad, 'n policy. But when it comes from government, like your supply chain and stuff like that, it's an act. So, gee maar vir my gou clarity rondom dit asseblief.
Meneer, may you switch off, please?
Somloma, mna ndizofuna nje ingcaciso malunga nobana xana kuthiwa into yipolisi sukube ingumthetho ogqitywe libhunga abe yipolisi njengomzekelo we-supply chain nayo iba ngumthetho othi awiswe ke ngurhulumente kazwelonke. Kodwa ke xana ipolisi siye sigqibe njani iba yipolisi loo nto leyo? Ndifuna nje ucaciselwa kuloo nto leyo naxa sitangena ziye ngeepolisi ze-tariffs ezilapha kumqulu lo sinawo. So ndizawufuna nje ucaciselwa mna xana ipolisi sukube ipolisi xana ithathe isigqibo esithathwe libhunga okanye iba yipolisi na kutheni. Enkosi.
Let me just check my list. Mayor, yes, you might. I don't know that the hand of Alderman Geerke is that an old hand.
Speaker, can I answer?
Alderman Geerke, you may proceed. Alderman.
Yeah, Speaker, I just forgot one aspect in my notes. I just wanted to ask the mayor about the relationship with the food bank. Are we still in a relationship there? And what is happening with that relationship with the food bank? Thank you.
Councillor Chengwa.
Speaker, somlomo kwakhona man. Ngifuna nje ngacisa ucacileyo nje wami umbuzo nje manincane nje straight. Ndiyabona pha ku page 5453, pha ekugqibeleni, roads provincial allocation. Now, ndifuna understand that because I think xa sithetha ngohlahlo lwabiwomali we suppose ukuthi si specific, le mali sithetha ngayo ingaka, le 173 million ingaba yabelwe eziphi indawo? Sikama sithetha ngendlela, if ndinoba specific somlomo ndifuna understand imali ebekelwe icala laseNice, I mean to be specific kumcimbi odibene nendlela yimalini kule mali. So kind of manage ingcaciso ecacileyo. And okwesibini somlomo ngiyafuna nje idlule nje kwimpendulo isanda kwenziwa ngohlalo apha kwezemali uCouncillor Bhaka. Xa isithi asinamali ndiyavumelana asinayo xa singenayo imali kutheni singenzi nto imela siyayenza. uCouncillor Tawuti unyathele that nginomdla Speaker for understand further xa sithi si-allocate 50,000 for uthi ohlalo usuka kwi-community service uyotsho ku-finance uyotsho ekugqibeleni bazayisebenzisela entweni loo mali leyo. Zezi-donation ebazazinika bani ezo basithi yimali donation. So ndiyafuna apha to say singadlali somlomo nosodolophu ngexesha labantu bethu siphila ixesha elibi, imali siya-understanda ayikho and imali ifuna siyichanele kule ndawo funeka iye kuyo, and ndifuna impendulo ecacileyo apha. Bangaba sithi sinika uchairperson we-community service finance 50,000 uzawuyenza ntoni? Sinayo mos, I mean akiri usodolophu siyayazi kuba bonke masipala iregulatiwe that i-office kasodolophu mayixhotyiswe ngalo lonke ixesha. Bangaba sithi ngoku wonke umuntu ngathi usehlalweni makanikwe imali for what good reason? Andifuni again siqale into singazukwazi uyimela apha. So somlomo ndiyafuna utsho xa ndihlala phantsi ndifuna nje impendulo ezicacileyo so that sizokwazi udlula. Akuzudlulisa sana kunina. Ngiyabonga inkosi.
Councillor Bhaka.
Before I proceed.
Winnie Sile.
Thank you. I hope Councillor Dibambe younger and repeated. Speaker, again, I need clarity. I see on page 554, 453. I want to understand when we talk about the budget, we need to be specific. And I also want to know this amount that has been budgeted for roads and how much has been allocated for roads in Neisner. The chairperson of finance has made mention that we don't have money. And what does she mean that we don't have money? And I also want to know these 50,000 rands that have been allocated for the mayoral committee members, what is it for? We also need to have a clear vision on what the monies should be used for. Monies allocated for the mayor are regulated. So we can't just allocate monies to portfolios just because of grants, but we need to make sure that those monies are allocated for specific needs that are targeted for. Thank you.
Councillor Parker. And then after Councillor Parker, if no online hands, then it's the mayor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, I just want, I'm not sure through you whether Councillor Tsengwa was in the budget workshop. And we had sufficient time over 2 workshop days.
Please mute whoever is online. Apologies, Councillor Parker, you may proceed.
Yeah, we had sufficient time for these type of questions to be asked and then answered. I do not understand why we are using this platform now to ask these questions that was supposed to be asked in a workshop. So I think that we should conclude this specific item. Thank you so much.
Mayor.
Ons gebruik nie hande hier nie, man, councillor. You must press that thing. Mayor.
Speaker, my one was up. Speaker, just to the chairperson of that the finance committee. I'm also part of the finance committee meeting. I know that Councillor Chengwa was absent and he made an excuse for that, but that's a workshop. She needs to understand at the workshop we can discuss, and so yeah, we take the decision. Yeah, I do have another chance to make an input, and someone shouldn't tell me that I had a chance in the workshop to say this and this and this. If I want to say it here, please, Madam Speaker, if we can correct the chairperson of the finance committee.
Councillor Chengwa. Councillor Chengwa, you see we are advanced here, and you must go and teach the people on the other side.
No, Chair, thank you very much, Speaker, for that. In fact, I'm sure when we take over on Tuesday in NISDA, we are going to follow suit. Right. Yeah.
Hello, sorry, Councillor.
Speaker.
Councillor Chengwa, proceed.
No, Speaker.
I'm protecting you, proceed.
Thank you, my Speaker. Speaker, you know what? I think Councillor Taut, you have clarified. I'm sure you have just alluded. Mayor, what I need here, you see, that such a response from the chairperson of finance, you know, she refers me into the workshop. Even if I'm as part of the workshop, this is council meeting. That's where we need to take a decision and adopt this budget. Now, I think as a council, I've got the full right to raise, pose. I've got the responsibility to do an oversight, right? And I think the chair is extremely out of order. Extremely out of order. If she do not have an answer for me, she must just stand and say, I don't know. I got an order from my caucus. Then we take it from there. Basically, I want to make that request. And this is not Moselby, right? This is district. Mayor, this is your budget. And I need, maybe the chairperson was not supposed to have responded. Mayor, I've just asked a question. You must never speak for the sake of speaking back. Thank you very much.
It's not Parker, it's Councillor Parker, please. Mayor, there's an online hand. Councillor Gericke, Alderman Gericke.
Yeah, no, I'm actually covered, Speaker. But abhorrent and despicable conduct by a portfolio councillor. I can't believe this. Thank you.
Mayor.
Madam Speaker and councillors.
Councillors, can we listen to the mayor, please? Councillors on my right hand side. Can we listen to the mayor?
Madam Speaker, I'm gonna answer backwards. Then to the very first councillor, which is Councillor Tsengwa. And I want to start with the last comment now made by Alderman Gericke. Colleagues, we are all adults here. We are all here to learn, and we're never too young or too old to learn. Some councillors are new. This is how they would learn.
I know, man, Councillor Chengwa, man. You're out of order,
right.
Councillor.
This is how we would learn, and this is how I even learn as a mayor from some of you. You put stuff there that I will remember for the next council meeting, that I would remember for the next budget meeting. So no question is a stupid question. So no response can be regarded as a despicable response. I want to condemn that. We're all here to learn, and we're going to take it the way how we're learning. Councillor Elder Lady Draguner, and then before I conclude, CFO, you will deal with the accumulated savings and everything that goes with it. Councillor Draguner, Elder Lady Draguner, my understanding is that all council's decisions must not be in contradiction of any law of this country, which then means our predecessors have adopted policies which are in line with any act or the Constitution of South Africa. Now, when we come in and our predecessors have adopted a policy, then sometimes we're happy with the policy, sometimes we're not. If we're not happy, we then panel beat the policy to suit us. Now, if the policy exists, any decision we make that would stem out of that policy must be in line with that policy. But if there's no policy, let's say a councillor walks in here and there's an exigency that he has just witnessed, and council needs to take a decision on that, and there's no policy, but we believe in it, and we believe it's not in contrary. We take that decision as long as it is not in contrary with an act or the Constitution which already exists. After we've taken that decision out of an exigency carried in by any councillor which we have agreed with, then it must be noted, and then we go and formulate the policy to make sure whoever comes in next will make those decisions as per the policy which exists. So it does happen sometimes that there are no policy for a specific matter, but council believe it is a legally sound decision that we can make. So policies gets developed. If there are no policies, it gets developed. If there's an existing policy, it can be fine-tuned. Or if the law got amended with a policy which exists, then you must go back to that policy again so that it can be in line with an amended act or whatever. But you're correct. We, the custodians of policies, council makes the policies. And if the policies are made, the officials institute. The officials should not come up with something new, which council has not endorsed or which council did not formulate. And if the official picks up something that is not in policy, nothing stops them via the municipal manager to go to the speaker's office and say, Speaker, we don't have this policy. And then we can then formulate such policies. Then councillors and a lot of the previous councillors have touched on this matter. And I'm going to try for, if some councillor did touch on it, to take it as a combined response to some of the matters. Colleagues, at times, as a mayor, I feel that there's a lot of unfairness on the mayor. There are decisions which a mayor must take, and after those decisions are made, it creates a backlash in the community. Now, my question to all the councillors, and I'm going to make an example on why I'm saying this, and you must please respond to this. What do I do when council have made a decision and there's a backlash? When there's a backlash, they don't go to a councillor, they don't go wherever, they come to the mayor because the community is now there's an outrage in the community on a decision taken by council, and the decision was suggested by a specific councillor. We bought into it, I executed. Now there's a backlash. Where does it put me? And I want councillors to answer, and here's my example. A lot of councillors here have said that we must not cut the cake in too many pieces. There's a 30,000 rand. Don't give everyone a 3,000, the 3,000, the 3,000, the 3,000, because it doesn't make a meaningful impact. Now, here's my question. And this is where I feel the bit of unfairness. Let me make an example with the SMMEs we have just supported. We took money, we split it amongst 32 SMMEs. BG, 32 SMMEs are modestly happy. To come back to making a meaningful impact, if we take that money and we divide it amongst 2 SMMEs, now each SMME now got R1 million. They happy, that's meaningful, I agree. It is meaningful. The other 28 SMMEs get angry and they say, we don't take care of them. But our decision was based on sort out these 2 SMMEs for life, probably. That other 28 must now wait another financial year. Now they are unhappy. They come to me, there's a toy. Now you must give me that answer. What do I do? Because I made a meaningful impact. And the decision on giving it to 32 is to say that we're coming to you because there's 50 other SMMEs. So they then see a trajectory. They're number 50, we're now at number 32. They might be a beneficiary in the next financial year because they can see we're coming down the line. Now, that is where it boggles me that if that happens and there's a backlash, we've only assisted 2 instead of 40. What do you guys want me to do? And I want you folks to honestly answer me on that one. And then to come to Alderman de Vries, I was sitting here and I was thinking to myself, I should give you a hug. You know, and I really, Alderman de Vries, you raised a question that I've been asking all municipal managers I ever worked with and all CFOs I ever worked with, even the current CFO. I asked the very same question in terms of a deficit budget and there's accumulated profits sitting somewhere or there's accumulated reserves. I always said, why don't you take the money there and fix the budget? They have an answer, and I'm telling you now he's going to answer me on that one. I've actually even asked Councillor Barker. Councillor Barker, for those who don't know and who don't understand Councillor Barker has got a degree in finance. Councillor Barker has worked in the finance industry in a previous life. So it is a matter for Councillor Barker to tune finances in the private sector to finances in the public sector. There's a difference there, but she do understand finances. And I've asked her the very same question and she explained to me, similar to what the CFO have explained to me. So Councillor de Vries, I'm in your corner. If there's a check account there and there's a credit card account there, if the one is in overdraft, transfer. But there's an answer for that. But I agree with that. And you came to the issue of actually what it means, you know, with impact versus outcomes and versus meaningful outputs. It is actually, one guy even said to me, sometimes it is better to succeed with a few than to fail with the majority, because then you have something to show. If you've given money to 10 outlets and it was a mistake and all 10 outlets failed, instead of giving money to 5 and the 5 outlets succeed, that 5 will generate another 5 and there's your 10. But if the whole 10 fails, you sit with 0. And that is also the answer you need to give to me, because it comes to giving a few compared to upsetting the majority and the rest. You must answer me, because I'm the one who must stand in front of a memorandum and speak to people who say, you never go to us, you only go to 2. The issue of and it comes in with the uncoordinated. Maybe I must mention the names as I'm going through this. Then let me go to Alderman Gericke. Alderman Gericke, again, is raising this for the second time. Alderman Gericke raised the fact that we whack the floor with suggestions raised by the opposition. And I want to plead with councillors that it is never the intention to whack the floor with opposition councillors. And the only way to prove that is that, and it comes to the issue raised on why MACO members sitting with budgets, etc. It comes to, I keep on saying, if there's a council decision with certain implications, financial implications, and the opportunity for them to abuse and whatever, all councillors have the right to come to the mayor's office to say to the mayor, these are the challenges in my ward. What do you have in your office? The majority of you guys do not do that. And in the past, I gave money. I even said in one meeting, I'm gonna call the opposition councillors by name because they come continuously to me and I give them. But when we sit here, they play opposition politics, which is their right. But you must count your words. Don't just attack me here and I have given you 20 pairs of shoes for a primary school in your ward. Be honest and come and say, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for those 10 pair of shoes. Let me come to why the money is with the executive councillors. In the local municipalities, in all the B municipalities, those mayors have ward councillors. If a mayor in Beto, we're coming from Beto, we have, how many wards on Beto? 7 wards. There are 7 wards in Beto. The mayor has the right to give each ward council a budget. The mayor has the right to do that. I do not have wards. I have executive councillors. And what people need to understand, sometimes the application of it might look wrong, or sometimes the application of it needs to be tweaked on what I'm going to say here. Councillors must also remember, as the mayor, I have discretionary powers as a mayor. The mayor has the right to use his discretion. All these monies are sitting in my office. The money for the speaker, the money for the deputy, the money for the ward councillors, or the, what do you call, the MACO members, that money is in my office. I use my discretion to try something here because I don't have wards, but all these councillors are staying with you in your wards where you are coming from. That is the discretion I use. And I'm saying here again, you do have the right to go to the deputy, to the speaker, to the MACO members, and put your case to them and say, out of your 80,000, deputy mayor, can you please assist me with this? Go to a MACO member and say, MACO member, out of your 50,000, can you please assist me with this? If they say no, you come to me. And also, let's come to Councillor Tauti raised the matter of the potential for this to be abused. Any application that goes through to them, my chief of staff must sign off on that. So I will know. I will know if they're buying fish and chips, and if they're buying before finance approve those matters. I will know. If they buy booze or anything for that matter, I will know. And I'm telling you folks right now, I will say, no, it will not be approved. So please, and I'm saying it in their presence, please, if you pick up politics with these funds, or you feel they look on a t-shirt and not trying to assist you, come to me. And one of the reasons, Councillor Tengwa asked, what are they going to use it for? Now let me spell out what they need to use it for. We gave bursaries to students. We had out of 70 bursaries, the Frisk Committee approved 30. There's another 40 kids that what is the word? They can't go to university or to college, but they fell off the bus with the bursaries. Those kids can come to any one of you as counselors and say, Puti, CC, I've been accepted, but I don't have registration fees. My registration fees is 6,000 Rand. They must use that money for those kind of purposes. That will then also count for development. Another thing, there's a girl or a boy who is excellent in soccer, who is excellent in cricket. He now needs to go to Thailand. The club don't have money to sponsor that boy. He must go to his parents for 20,000. He'll never have 20,000. His mother, his dad will never have 20,000. They must come to you, and you must come to the counselors. And if these counselors are lucky that they've been approached directly, they should assist. They should assist. They don't, and even I do it. Sometimes if somebody needs 50,000, I don't have 50,000 for an individual, but I have 20,000 as a start to the parents to say, yes, 20,000. Go and have a raffle for the rest. I'm booking some kunya, sell broodjies and whatever. Here's your start, 20,000. Those funds are for those purposes only. No parties, no booze, no after parties for matrics, nothing. It is not for that. If there's traces of abuse, I take the money back. When the audit is going to come and audit us now, which they do every year, I will be audited on what has happened to the 50,000 in any councillor's office. What has happened to the 80,000 in the deputy or in the speaker's office? I get audited. So it is centralized. I have just distributed it, but the accountability is centralized. The approval of it is centralized. It is in my office. Make copies of the block. If through whatever mistake that money is misused, it's the mayor's fault. So it's a trial, and we can have that discussion on. I just told you how you can benefit, but maybe probably in the next cycle is to say each chief whip can have a whatever. It's an idea, and I'm putting it out here. I'm putting it out here. I can probably say each chief whip can also have a vote going forward. And then we deal with that matter there. It's all based on discretion, but it is trial and error. Hence, I was saying there are some new stuff in this thing. To come back to Councillor Tengwa, the roads of Naisna, in infrastructural matters, etc., etc. I am aware that Gerard Otto, in his new position as acting manager of his community services, I am aware, and there he is, that in his capacity, he has come up with something new. Again, it is something new, and province is going to say, what are you guys doing? And even national is going to say, what are we trying to do? We'll all remember that MIC funding used to be given to districts, and the districts would give it to the Bs. Gerard Otto is trying his luck again with the challenges that we are faced with in the B municipalities. Gerard Otto has applied for the district to get MIC funding. Gerard Otto have applied for the district to benefit out of the infrastructural development grant. We are putting our fingers crossed. It is to deal with these matters, Councillor Tengwa, where Mr. Daniels can't get to your road in Naisna because his funding through province has been directed to Hesekwa. With the additional funding, which we are getting, if we succeeded, we can then step in and say, out of our grant, this is our business plan for Naisna, for Kanaland, over and above what the roads department have already allocated to those municipalities. With development, the question came in the budget, there's only 60,000. It is nothing. for youth development. And the explanation for that is we are also aware that there's more than 3 million rand where we have been shortlisted from one of the CEDAs that will come to the garden route. And the intention is with that 3.6 or 3.8 million, that is the first thing that we will take the youth development to tap into that. This is just the 60,000 and the 50,000 for the maker members, whatever. We're just showing intent that we do want to make a difference in the cake. Lastly, I think that's it. Thank you. Sorry, the Garden Route Food Pantry. Colleagues, initially it was called the Garden Route Food Pantry because of our partnership with the gentleman who started the idea, and also because we pledged to be the biggest contributors in terms of funding for that initiative, which we have been doing. We've always been the biggest contributors to that. And the thing then expanded, and it has now got a new name. And out of that, with the changes of the new name and the challenges that they don't get enough support from the Bs, mind you, they don't get enough support from some of the B municipalities. It's only the district that is always first out of the blocks financially to support. And sometimes, even with COVID, I got calls from mayors in the Cape Winelands, the farmers of Stellenbosch, of Paarl, wherever, they've access products to municipalities. I got calls to say, Mr. Mayor, can you get for the garden road as well? Here's an opportunity. Now with these. I then, because of not having the expertise or the capacity to deal with it, I gave permission to say, take it to the food pantry. Trucks ran from Cape Winelands Park, from Overberg to the food pantry. That is the kind of relationship that we are having with the food pantries. Not just money, but also opportunities. They are now in a tight corner. We now need to go and revisit. And I take what Alderman Carricker said to me is that the garden route as a district municipality must be the face of that initiative. And that is the discussion which we need to have with the management and the board of that we become the face. And don't get me wrong, if the garden route district municipality is the face, whose picture is on there? The mayor's face. So don't say I played politics after I became the face. Thank you very much.
You've been waiting patiently, Councillor Lechaba. Who is there? Is some line going on? Proceed, Councillor Lechaba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. But before I talk, I just want to thank everybody for their condolences and support. Greatly appreciated in our difficult time and showing the love and care for one another as humans. We thank you all for that. I'm here because I just, everybody thought that maybe I'll be home and cry and so forth. Yes, I'm crying. But one thing I want you to know, my brother was an activist. My brother was a comrade. So by honoring him and celebrating his life, this is what he was doing every day. He stood up for the people. He understood the plight of the people and the plight of the poor. And in the Mosa Bay Council, he always spoke with pride and honor for the poor. So that's why I'm here. Today we are discussing a budget. Today we are discussing very important things. So that's how I celebrate my brother's life. Coming back to the matter of the day. I thought I won't say much today, but I can't go without saying this. Honorable Mayor, this, where we are, you have good intention, and we are thankful for that. But however, there is a way that these good intention plans, there's a way that one has to be able to work with them. Because why? We are in a regulated space. Municipalities are regulated. There are acts, there are regulations. So everything that we are doing, I'm coming to the fact that you are saying, let us try this. Yes, we can try it, but without something that is guiding us in a regulated space, it becomes dangerous. Not even to anything, it becomes dangerous. Because at the end of the day, we must be guided by why are we implementing? How are we implementing it? How are we going to be reporting? And how is this going to work? So that there's a process, as Comrade Stephen always talk about process plan. So for us here on as opposition, we are cautioning you, we are cautioning the governing party to say, yes, or coalition, sorry, in a coalition, that yes, the intentions are good, but we have a guiding document to guide us in the same space where you say that, you know, sometimes you get confused that when we agreed on something and then when we go outside, people, then there's a misunderstanding. That is where the thing is. Because where there is a policy, you will consult, you consult with all of us, you consult with the communities, because the policy must be workshopped, it must be consulted, and then it also goes to the public. And then they give their opinion how it should be. Now already you have included those who are outside to understand your plans. Now in this moment, when you do not have a policy that is guiding you, then it will be a problem, because the people don't understand, oh, is it a booty, or is it a party thing? And yes, as I said, it's good intention, but when it is within a policy, it is guided, it is clear. What you are saying, if it's not what it's going to be for everybody, but it's in the policy, then that policy clearly works it out. And also, more importantly, how are we going to, we as council, as much as we have the discretion powers and we understand it, but we must equally know that the mayor is doing the right thing. And that is where the policy guides us, so that we can hold you accountable to say, Mayor, you said in this policy, but now this is the outcome that we are getting, and there are contradictions. So we are assisting each other to have policies. For me, I'm very disappointed, because I thought it first a regulated space, you have a policy, and then you can have whatever. Because let me tell you, here is written, and also this way it's written. It says community, it says portfolios of finance, portfolio of strategy. According to the Systems Act, according to the acts, those portfolio, they've got a distinctive role. Nothing talks about them having donations. Nothing talks about it, that it must be what. So that's why we are cautioning you. We are cautioning how things are done. You cannot just do it. Yes, have a trial and error, but with something that guides it. That is where we are. Let us have the policy, and then you can, because as I'm telling you now, the biggest question is that how a corporate services will have a donation, because your line item says that. You see, anybody that read it, line item, corporate services, it's supposed to be internal thing. And yes, as I said, everybody understands. We understand you. You said it's going to be in the communities. Which communities are that? They're going to benefit in the corporate services, in the strategic services, in the finance services. So please guide us. We don't want to say, he said that. A policy guides us. Thank you very much.
Councillor Barker.
Thank you, Madam.
Sorry, you might put me. Barker, you can proceed. I was talking to the mayor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Through you, I would just like to remind this council that both parties in this coalition has the value of transparency. So whereas money will be spent with regards to these donations, it's open for council to see. And therefore, I think that we have also been through this budget, the questions have been asked. It's a complete, how do you say it? It's the same things that are coming up just from different councillors at this point in time. And then I would like to propose this item. Thank you.
Alderman Gericke.
Madam Speaker, just lastly from my side, let me wholeheartedly support Councillor Lechaba in her submission. I thought, and I have great amount of respect for the mayor for his years in local government and his experience, and I thought he would have taken that into consideration, that local government is a regulated airspace. Now, the way the mayor is articulating this, and please hear my heart, this is why I have objected in the workshop initially, is that this is government and we should not be as councillors at the grace or at the mercy of the mayor or at the mercy of the deputy or at the mercy of the speaker. There should be a policy that contains clear guidelines for donations or for whatever reason those monies will be used. There should be a policy. And this is why we've been going on. This is nothing personal, and this is not an attack. And we are well aware of how people are abusing their offices and funds and stuff. It happens elsewhere, it can happen here as well. And we should not just defend and answer because we are opposition, and to get the opposition out of the way, we have serious concerns also. So take that into consideration. Listen to us, what we say. We also have experience. Don't just rush it through and make as if we are not saying anything. Thank you very much.
I don't know what happened here now because Councillor Alderman, your mic was also on, and then you and the mayor. No, I will leave the mayor for last.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, in the way I want to agree with Councillor Barker that I'm not supporting that proposal, but let me finalize the debate. Speaker, we have raised our concerns. I think that just to pick up on the last comment from Alderman Gericke, is the issue about the experience and where we want to move. Yes, you're going to make unpopular decisions. That's part of the job. You use the example of the SMEs. I think that's not the correct example to use in terms of what these funds and donations are meaning. That I think that what we have done, how it took place in decision, that was the correct decision. Because we're talking about businesses, creating business, and of course employing people. What we're talking about here is something totally different. You're talking about discretionary powers that I'm not sure what you're referring to, because here we're in a council meeting and we as a council are deciding on a budget. And especially while we're still struggling to separate the council from the municipality, in terms of, it would be a sad day if you decide for the speaker in terms of have to approve what she must do, because the speaker should be. So I don't think that we have the framework in terms of what we want to, what you are proposing to do. And, or even there was still an outstanding question, but I think that the answers and the manner in which the responses came from, it seems that we are not making, are not going to make an agreement. That's why I want to propose that the budget not be approved. Thank you.
Do you have a seconder for your proposal, Councillor?
Madam Speaker.
Oh.
May I go, Madam Speaker?
Yes, I will allow you. Let me first hear Councillor Gericke. Alderman Gericke?
Yes, Speaker, may I respond on the proposal by Alderman de Vries?
Yes, you may.
Did he say that he proposed that the budget not be approved?
Yes.
I second.
Okay, thank you. We've already got a second in Councillor Lechaba. Mayor, you will now conclude for us because we've got a proposal on the side as well and we need a seconder.
All right, Madam Speaker, before we get to over into a vote, let me respond because new matters have been raised by Councillor Lechaba, Alderman Gericke, and Alderman de Vries. I love the opposition, and let me tell you why. Maybe I must say I like the opposition. Yeah, and let me tell you why I like you. Let me tell you why I like you. I take a leave out of your experience, and let me tell you what is your experience here. And I'm also going to respond because I do believe that I'm misunderstood, and I'm going to go back to where I am misunderstood, and hopefully I'll persuade you otherwise. And let me start with the latest raised by Alderman de Vries in terms of comparing SMMEs with donations. It's not the same thing. I disagree. And let me tell you why I disagree. With SMMEs, we give to SMMEs who are registered only. There are people with business ideas and whoever who are not registered, but they have good ideas. And it's also business related ideas, but they're not NPOs, they're not NGOs. What do we give them? A donation. So a donation also does the function of money we give to SMMEs. The very same Alderman Gericke made the example in the workshop. Mr. Mayor, don't forget those who are not registered. I might have a neighbor with a soup kitchen. She feeds 50 kids on a daily basis out of goodwill. She's not registered. The Department of Social Development will never give her money because she's not registered. We have creches that will never comply to be an NPO because they don't have playgrounds. We have mamas who are looking after kids in their homes and they have Wendy houses in their backyards.
Order, Speaker. Order, Speaker.
Alderman Gericke.
On a point of order. There's a proposal by Councillor de Vries. It has been seconded. My understanding in terms of the rules of order is that you should now be dealing with the proposal. Thank you, Speaker.
Councillor, straight after the mayor, there's not going to be any debate. I'm going to allow the mayor because he feels that he must explain.
I want to persuade the opposition because I misunderstood. We'll take note of what you just said. Let me conclude. Let me conclude. And this is where I like you as well. You are correct when you are saying we must be guided by a policy and everything that goes with it. Currently, what I have done here, it is not outside the framework of the MFMA, but where your suggestion comes in, we just changed grounding aid to be called projects and donations. We need to formulate a policy around that. And everything, I've made notes here, everything you've raised that you've warned me on needs to be in that policy. That will be our guidance. So hopefully you'll vote with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Can I get a seconder for the proposal of Councillor Barker?
Yes, Speaker, I second the proposal.
Thank you. Councillors, we've got two proposals. We've got two in favor of the budget and one not in favor. We will start with the one in favor of the budget. Those councillors that are online, I want you to please switch on your camera and tell us how you are going to vote. So can us in favor of the proposal of Councillor Barker and of Councillor Lambertine that we go with the recommendations are as set out on page 438 and page 439. Just raise your hands, please. Chief Whip, you must now count, ne? I see there are two councillors online. Councillor Acker. Councillor Acker, can you speak?
I'm voting in favor of Councillor Barker's proposal.
Thank you. En dan onze man, ander man daar, Councillor Swart.
Speaker, I'm also voting in favor of Councillor Barker's.
Thank you. And Councillor, you may switch off your camera. Thank you. Swart, Kuni. Thank you. You can lower your hands. Thank you. You did count my hand as well, ne? Thank you. All those not in favor of Councillor Barker's proposal? Yes, so Councillor Chambers' hand is eerste op. Councillor Matika?
Not in favor.
Okay, so Councillor Matika must be counted. And Councillor Cornelius? Please, and Councillor Gericke? Councillor Gericke, you've already said you're not in favor.
Yes, not in favor, Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cornelius, your hand is raised. Can you take down Councillor Gericke's hand? He is not in favor. Thank you. Councillor Cornelius? Councillor Cornelius? For the how many time?
Speaker, not in favor.
Thank you, Councillor Cornelius. Councillor Hector? Is Councillor Hector online? Councillor Hector, are you not going to vote? Are you going to abstain? I'm giving you an opportunity. But he has already voted not in favor. Councillor Cornelius. Who is Skippers? Oh, you know that Councillor Skippers and Councillor Hector. Please, I'm going to call out those councillors' names now for the Councillor Skippers and Councillor Hector.
Speaker.
Yes, Councillor. Is it Councillor Skippers?
100% Speaker. Ek het net 'n connection probleem gehad, Speaker.
Okay, are you in favor or not in favor of the budget?
I'm not in favor.
Thank you. And then I still need to hear from
Speaker. Councillor Hector here. A little bit lost now, but I'm not in favor of the budget. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. So now can we go with those in favor of the proposal coming from Councillor De Vries and Councillor Lechaba? In favor. Those in favor. I want us to do that. In favor? Yes, you vote again.
Yes, Matika.
So everybody that was against the budget is in favor of Councillor Lechaba and Councillor De Vries. Thank you. And all against the proposal from them? It's the same. It's the same. Okay. So can I get the figures, please? Yeah, you know most. Can we get the figures? Those in favor of Councillor De Vries and Councillor Lechaba? In favor. They were most against, ne? Laat ek my nie self die mekaar maak nie. Those in favor of the budget.
Those in favor of the budget being approved is 19.
And those against?
Those against are 16.
Thank you. So the proposal of Councillor Barker, duly seconded by Councillor Lampies, are carried. So congratulations. The final budget 2022-2023 MTREF has been approved for the Garden Route District Municipality. Councillors, If you follow your agenda, section D, section E, section F, G, H, I, there is no items. There is a J part and a K part. We are going to deal with J and K on the enclosed part of our agenda. So that brings us now to the end of the open part of our agenda. So thank you very much for everybody that was tuned in onto YouTube. We will now break for lunch, councillors. And Rihanna, you will make sure that when we come back, that only those who are supposed to be in the meeting via Zoom will be in the meeting. So we will come back at 2 o'clock. Yes. Yes, sorry. Councillors, no, sorry, before you go, Councillor Kannemeyer, Alderman De Vries.
Speaker, I will assume when we reconvene that we will use the open hour for to have lunch, but we would like to have a caucus as the ANC.
So must I give you an extra 15 minutes so that we can come back at 2:15? We break for lunch until 2 o'clock. You can take your food with. And then we come back, we will resume at 2:15, but we're not going yet. Councillor Tauti, CFO.
Yes, Speaker, I think because the second session is an enclosed session, I just want to ask, with your permission, for a list of officials to also attend the in-committee.
Acting MM, you must be here.
Yes.
Just help me.
Yes, so can I ask,
Kaya, as well as Nadima.
Rihanna
Bonesile.
and Trix
Sorry, Bonnie.
and Nadima Davids,
Trix.
Sanakaya, please, and Mr. Loliwe to stay online, and Mr. Dladla as well, please.
Okay.
Thank
No,
you.
no, it's only them. So can Mr. Loliwe come to the council chambers then? Okay.
Speaker,
Okay.
my hand is up.
Yes, we are already breaking. Advocate, advocate. It promote you, so my alderman. We coming back on 2:15.
Yeah, okay, so I will tune in, and then after the meeting with you, I mean, after we've tuned in, I will make a decision, or I will express my decision.
Yes, yes, we will. I will send as soon, just before we start, Alderman Gierke, I will ask Rihanna to send you a message.
Thank you. Thank you.